Hello. The following presentation is about a study that was carried out to determine the perceptions of Sudbury from the perspective of millennial university students in Toronto and to determine what is the most effective way to get them to visit. Online surveys were used to gather information from the university students with questions gauging both their perceptions and interests on visiting Sudbury, as well as some demographic questions. The demographic questions will help with the market segmentation and define the ideal target market for Sudbury. A total of 248 surveys were collected, however, only 246 surveys were usable. Sudbury is the most populated city located in northern Ontario and is known as a mining destination due to its large nickel deposits. It offers a wide range of natural elements, including hiking trails, rivers, and also 330 lakes. Doing research prior to the surveys, we found some interesting information about millennials. Destination image was found to be an important factor to travelers since there is a direct correlation between positive destination image and high interest levels among them. A higher destination image was also found to lead to increased levels of satisfaction and consequently led to travelers being more likely to recommend the destination to friends and family. It was also discovered that nature tourism is growing approximately 10 to 12% per year, and while millennials may not be the main driving force of this change, they do favor nature-based activities and authentic experiences. Millennials also have a tethered relationship to technology and respond positively to contrasting colors and animations. These tools should be used to market to millennials. Millennials also have fewer licenses and spend less time commuting than other generations, so a long drive or commute may act as a barrier to them.
Explore quote profiles are a form of market segmentation that creates a profile of tourists using psychological attributes. These groups provide destinations with valuable insights into reasons and habits of travelers. Implementing EQ profiles into this study aids in correlating existing travel interests into Sudbury's offerings to discover the best potential market.
The objective for this research project is to determine the proportion of students in the GTA who are a potential target market for Sudbury and then profile them in terms of demographics, psychographics, and other useful information. This information will be used to assist the DMO of Sudbury in finding and implementing effective marketing strategies to appeal to millennials. A quantitative research approach with a linear research path was applied to obtain primary data from the target population. Research of millennial students from GTA universities were conducted through designing survey questions and distributing them as a Google form. The aimed objective was to obtain 300 survey responses.
The target population for this research were students who are currently studying at a university in the GTA. There were two sampling frames used to reach the population. The primary method was distributing surveys through first, second, and third connections of group members to students at GTA universities. The second method was posting survey links on student-operated social media groups. The population of each university and sampling ratio are as follows. While the target was to collect 300 surveys, only 248 were collected with 2 respondents considered unusable due to errors or lack of authenticity, thus resulting to a 99.19 usage rate for the study sample. The sample represented that 56% were women, 43% were male, and 1% were other. It was categorized into 5 cohorts: 18 to 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, and 23 plus. Ryerson University, University of Toronto, and York University strongly represented the sample, while University of Ontario Institute of Technology and Ontario College of Art and Design were stated as other.
The following results were calculated by totaling the amount of individuals who either agreed or strongly agreed to the activity listings in the survey. The top 3 millennial interests were found to be trying local cuisine with 206 responses, rest and relaxation also having 206 responses, and kayaking having 180 responses showing interest. The top 3 activities that millennials were disinterested in were visiting a casino, fishing, and skydiving. The top 3 ways millennials gained their information about a destination came from word of mouth, online travel agencies, and TripAdvisor. Interestingly, 90% of people heard of Sudbury, but only 71% of people want to go and visit. Survey respondents who knew of Sudbury also associated lakes, hiking, and the big nickel statue with it. The number 1 method of travel to Sudbury was found to be air travel, with 85% of survey respondents indicating that that would be their most preferred way. Travel by car was second with 60%, and train was third with 55%. Using literature from the Canadian Tourist Commission, 6 psychographic profiles of tourists were found. These 6 profiles are high energy, travel for hobby, cultural immersion, structured tours, rest and relaxation, and local travelers. For this study, we will be focusing on cultural and high energy traveler profiles. 40% of cultural immersion travelers were interested in hiking and cave exploring, and 39% were interested in kayaking. High energy adventurers were found to only have 35% interested in cave exploring, 33% in kayaking, and 31% in hiking.
The cultural immersion traveler looks to immerse himself in the destination that they traveled to and wants to learn how the locals live by interacting with them. They were, according to the sample size, were found to be typically 21 years old and female who enjoyed trying local cuisine and rest and relaxation. Their preferred method of gaining information is from word of mouth, and they would prefer to travel by plane. High-energy adventurers are millennials that enjoy the thrill-seeking activities and prefer a high-energy style of travel. They like the best of what the destination has to offer and are not afraid to pay for the best experiences. They are also found to be around 21 years of age and female, according to the sample size, and enjoy cave exploring and kayaking. They also prefer to get their information through word of mouth and prefer to travel by air. The study was conducted to answer these questions. What are millennials' travel interests? Which segments are open to travel to Sudbury? And what are the past experiences and existing perceptions do Toronto millennials have of Sudbury? It is recommended that Sudbury take advantage of word of mouth, which is the preferred method of gaining interest among the sample size. This can be done by showing the best tourism attractions on TripAdvisor and have honest reviews straight on them. Sudbury can also advertise its attractions by using posters or video boards on campus with high traffic, utilizing the bright contrasting colors and animations that millennials will respond to. The results show that cultural immersion travelers and high-energy travelers are more motivated in traveling to Sudbury. Cultural immersion travelers were the most motivated to visit Sudbury, with 75% showing interest. High-energy travelers are a good representation of the segment's interest in what Sudbury has to offer. They had the second highest percentage in all 5 activities that were related to Sudbury. Using the known interests and habits of each segment, this can help the destination marketing organization of Sudbury effectively cater marketing strategies to generate greater appeal to the area. An example of this can be partnering with online travel agents, since they are used by both of these segments to primarily gain information.
As mentioned in the results, 90% of the sample size heard of Sudbury and associated natural aspects and activities like lakes, hiking, the Big Nickel, and fishing with it. Interestingly enough, however, while many respondents associated fishing with Sudbury, but there were few that were actually really interested in fishing as an activity. With fishing being dependent on lakes, travelers may first associate fishing as the first activity to do on lakes, which may not signify interest. This could create a perception gap between what Sudbury is perceived to offer and what it really does offer. It is recommended that Sudbury try to limit its perception gap by promoting the activities such as canoeing and kayaking, which have high interest scores on the sample size.
The limitations of the study were found to be that the sample size consisted mainly of Ryerson University students and female respondents. The study is also limited since a large portion of the millennial students in the Greater Toronto Area were not represented, since it was a small survey with only 248 responses. Participants could also indicate themselves as multiple travel types, which makes it harder to create the ideal travel profile for Sudbury to target. Their survey also failed to answer the research question, what barriers would prevent millennials from visiting Sudbury, due to poor structuring of the online survey. Therefore, information was not valid, to which there was no measurable factors to convey as evidence.
Since the data focus solely on millennials in the Greater Toronto Area universities, it is recommended that for future research, the younger millennials segment be taken into account for a better understanding of the whole generation. It is also recommended that a larger and more diverse sample size be used. This concludes the summary of our findings. Thank you for watching.